Everybody, thank you so much for coming here in Yates County. Thank you for coming, everybody. Yes, the FullSharpe is still going on. I appreciate you guys coming today. As I say all the time, showing up matters so much. And for those of you who are watching and don't know, this is a new county affiliate. Congratulations, everyone. We are growing so much across this state. When I first started running in 2018, we only had about 16 county affiliates out of 62 counties. Now we're over half. We're over 32, 33, whatever we are. We're over half of the state is now covered by affiliates. It is insanely powerful because it means we have infrastructure. It means we can play the game with the big boys, which I like. You can actually play the game with the big boys, having a county infrastructure required to move things forward. But why are the county affiliates so important? There are two reasons why. Reason number one, when any candidate does an event, and I did it when I crossed the state before, and when I see it even now, when you cross the state and there is no county affiliate in the state, very often that event isn't as great. But when there is a county affiliate in that county, all of a sudden now people show, right? The county affiliate learns, how do I get the press there? I'll just get my people to show up. How can I get my family to show up? They know how to get into the world of other people. How would I get the local people who care about an issue to show up? So that's number one. But number two is what I just said, the local issue. I cannot express how important local is. I just can't express how important it is. But Larry, should we not be running a presidential candidate now? That's not what I'm saying. The top of the ticket matters also. What I'm saying is you can't ignore the bottom. In fact, the bottom is actually more important than the top. The top does matter. You want to run the top. Why? Because the top of the ticket has the best chance for press. Least chance for victory, best chance for press. The bottom of the ticket has the least chance for press, but the best chance for victory. The best chance for victory. So how do we get both? By having top of the ticket support bottom of the ticket. I did that in 2018. For those of you who remember, I ran in 2018. I lost, but I got tons of press. And the next year, I came back around and supported a bunch of other candidates running in 2019. Right? And we had some victories. We had about 103 total victories in the state. Most were actually fusion candidates. Right? About 90 or so were actually fusion. About 10 or so were just only libertarian ticket. But again, we had victories. Then the state said, you can't have that. Away you go. And the state took away all ballot access. So I broke that hole, but now I got to break it again. But what's the most important piece here? What I just told you, growing local. Local does so many good things. Number one, people actually see that we can make impact. They see it. They hardly ever see it when we're running at the top of the ticket. We don't win. They don't see the impact, but they can see it. They can watch it. They can see it in their own stores, their own homes, their own schools. And the COVID lockdowns have been bad in so many ways. But here's a good way. I'm going to give you a silver lining to this, right? There's a couple of silver linings. Here's one of them. For the first time in a long time, people are paying attention to what's happening in schools. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
For years, nobody cared. Nobody cared what's happening in school. Nobody cared. Whatever. So I'm going to be nice to some of our school administrators. You'll be mad at me, but I'm going to give them a little bit. We have taught them to be tyrants. And now they're tyrants. We taught them to be that. We ignored everything for, in some cases, not every county, but in some counties, for literally years, sometimes decades. They did what they wanted, and there were no repercussions. So we trained them that they could be tyrants. So they're tyrants. So now we show up, and they go, what are the peasants doing here? How dare these peasants show up? Don't they know I am king? Don't they know? What is wrong with these peasants? Right? Why are the riffraff in my castle? Right? They're upset. And they act accordingly. But to be forward, we train them to be that way with us and our apathy. The advantage is those days are now over. That's the advantage. So as bad as the COVID lockdowns were, there's a silver lining. Now people are walking, oh, wait a minute, you're teaching my kid what? Wait a minute, you're making my kid do what? Wait a minute, you're doing, who's getting paid for what? All of a sudden that's happening. And as it happens, we start realizing, you know, school board matters. You know, local administrator matters. Maybe we should start running for these things and making some real impact. Then people see it. There's the glory of local. But do we want to run the top of the ticket? Of course we do. Top of the ticket matters also. We get the press that way. That's good. But again, local is the key. But it's the second piece for the local issues. When you do local things and people start winning locally, you know what winds up happening? We get a bench of people who can run. Now all of a sudden we got someone else who can run for something bigger. If we spend 3, 4, 5 years building our local farm team, by the time we want to get someone in Congress or in Senate, we got 3, 4 people who played the game already, who have an idea, right? Who know what punishment this is to do this. They understand the punishment that this is and go, fine, I'll be punished again. They understand the punishment that's required. People in New Jersey years ago asked me a question about 2018, 2017, remember, they asked me, they said, Larry, what do you consider yourself as an archetype, movie archetype? And I said, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? I'm the guy who goes out and dies fighting Darth Vader so the rebels can win, right? That's me, right? So I'm being Obi-Wan Kenobi again. I'm out here trying to fight Darth Vader, but if you kill me, I'll be stronger than ever. So yes, I'm that guy, right? So even though I lose, I still become more powerful even when you strike me down. I'm still more powerful even when I lose. And that's when I go back to local again. I know I'm pushing local up, it's a local affiliate, and I want to push the value of local. Not just that. Very often, people come to our party not because they read Mises or they read Hayek or they're a Bastiat fan. That's not why they come to our party. Some people do. Some people absolutely do. But most people don't. Most will come to our party because they're unhappy for a reason, whatever reason it is, and they heard somebody make some sense. Right? That's how most people come to our party. I'm mad about something, and I heard somebody who made some sense. Right? It's usually a top of the ticket candidate. Usually, it's a Harry Brown. It's a Ron Paul. Right? It's a Gary Johnson. In New York, maybe it's Larry Sharpe in New York. Right? But depends upon where it is. It's someone who I'm upset and somebody made some sense. So let me come on in. The glory about local is you find out local issues. Someone's mad about something locally, and the Democrat and Republican say the same old thing. Other guy bad. That's what they say. Other guy bad. But the Libertarian says, what if we did this? And I go, oh, that's an answer to the problem that I have. I'm upset, and you answer my question. Who are these librarians? Oh, these are librarians. Sorry, who are these guys, right? And that's how we begin. That's how we begin to get people in, right? And then they join. They join us in local, and they do something not because they care about liberty, because they may or may not, but they care about that issue, that problem, and they want to go solve that problem. And if we get a local candidate, that candidate can now try to solve that problem. But here's the best part: once they're with us, you all know it. They'll spend a year with us, and either they'll walk away going, "You guys are crazy," or they'll become one of us. That's how it works. Let's get them in locally to solve their issue or their problem or their concern with candidates who will talk about solutions for their problems, their issues, their concerns. And then either they'll leave or they'll become one of us. But either way, they're more open to vote for us. Either way, they're more open to vote for us because they're going to know people who they respected, who they liked, and someone who made some sense. So often I've talked to people who voted for me and they say the same thing. I voted for you for one reason. Why? Because you actually answered my question. Because when I asked you a question, you actually gave me an answer. And libertarians have to. We can't just go, other guy bad. It doesn't work. Because they go, well, that's what the other person's saying. So we actually change that. Local is so important for that reason. And I'll keep going even further. If I get the local people to do things right, begin to build out people who know how to speak to the press, who know how to get to the press, who know how to talk to other people, gather people, put together events, all those things. And even on top of all of that, we get to have people who we trust. Man, is that tough in politics. It is. Man, is that tough in politics. If it's some guy or gal I've been talking to in Tennessee, maybe I trust him, maybe I don't. It's some guy who's literally, I've ridden in his car. It's some guy I've literally been in his car. Someone who's driving around the state. Well, there's trust level there, right? There's trust level there. And when things go wrong, we don't go, see, I knew she was evil. We don't do that. We say, what happened? What's going on? That didn't sound right. What happened? And now it's a conversation. Second? Individualism. Yes, and now it's a conversation. I don't assume, she's one of them. I don't assume that. I go, no, that didn't sound right. I must have misunderstood. There's a reason why she said that. Something's going on. Let's have that conversation. And so now when I want to get stuff done, I can trust some people. Local also encourages trust in your community. And the last piece I'll bring up on local. If we want government to go away, and most of us do, I get that, most of us do. But remember something, government is almost always the same thing every time. It's a monopoly and a jobs program. That's what it is. If you knock down government, there's nothing left. They're a monopoly, which means people who want to be serviced can't be serviced now. That's not a good thing. People need help. People make mistakes. People fall down. You want them to be helped, right? Of course, knock down government, not left. And now we're also encouraging the black market because the job's gone. We're encouraging the black market and people aren't being helped. What if instead we start to encourage the community to step up? Community to help people within a community, encouraging that trust so that now when government begins to go away, community is there to support. Community is there to help. There is a trust level. And the black market isn't encouraged. We just go working for those nonprofits and those local companies that are doing things that make the individual society better. I want communities to support communities. And here's the horrible part that is kind of a silver lining for the COVID lockdowns also. What we also found out from COVID lockdowns is how many communities have actually lost the institutional knowledge to support themselves. They've been supported by government for so long that they literally don't know how to support themselves anymore. They've lost that knowledge. That happened heavily in cities. It happened outside cities too, but not as much. It happened much heavily in cities where they were like, now what do we do? We don't even know how to act. We don't even know how to act. That was one thing that also showed us. So what you keep hearing me say constantly is, let's grow community so we can reduce government. Because whenever you add government, you remove community. That's how it works. That's how it works. So if we can grow community, we can then remove government. Government has two choices at this point, and either one's fine. It gets better, that's good. Or maybe even better, it goes away. But either way, I'll take better, right? I'll take better with other community options that you pick. I'll take it. But hopefully, if it gets good enough, no one goes there anymore. If my ideas are wrong, government's still there. What are you gonna do? Still there. People are still being treated poorly. But if I'm right, and community steps up, and I believe they will, people will stop using government because community will be better. They'll just go to their community. They'll join their community. What examples do I have of that? Think about the best addiction programs. If you know anyone in your life who's been an addict, that you've got money in my story, I have someone in my life who was an addict. Anyone who's an addict. Who's the best at treating and helping addicts? Former addicts. Every time. They're the best because they know what you're going through. They went through it. Right? And especially if they're your addiction, right? Whatever your addiction was, they had that addiction. They know they were there. They know exactly what you went through. They know when you're full of, you know what? They know when you're telling the truth, right? They know because they were the same person. They know. They can help. That's community. That's not government program. That's not checkbox government program. That's community. And that goes for everything. What if you're stuck with a child and your husband or your wife or your spouse left you? Who's going to help you the best? A checkbox? Write you a check and says, stay on the dole now for the rest of your life? Or community, run by people who are like, I got a bed in too. I got you. I know what you need. I know what you need. And you saw what I constantly came up with, ideas that allow community to grow. And I'll give a couple that we'll talk about locally. One of them, the idea that if you are, say you're a single mom right now with 2 kids, you would actually be silly to work. You'd be silly to work. If you work, you're going to lose all your benefits, spend tons of money on childcare, not have a good job, spend less time with your kids. Make less money, spend less time with your kids. Why would you work? The system is telling you to not work. Of course you're not going to work. I'm not mad at you for that. I don't get mad at the player. I get mad at the game. Right? Players doing that because it makes sense to the player. Okay, change the game. Imagine if instead you had a system that within a county, in your own county, if you wanted to have what I call a child garden. Child garden means, right now, you ever go to a park ever?
Yeah.
Great. So we go to a park one day, do me a favor, take my daughter with you and go have a good time in the park. If we agree, do you require a license?
Yeah.
If we agree, you don't.
No.
Not at all. You just take my daughter to the park. Enjoy. I give you $5, have some ice cream, life is good. Done. Come back the next day, life is good. Why can't I swap you out with a nonprofit? So instead of you, that's my local VFW, my local church, particularly in cities, the black churches, which are dying, right? But in any community, you can imagine, whatever community it is, it could be a nonprofit. How about all those American Legions who can't wait, all the retirees who are there, who love to take care of some kids? But Larry, they won't have background checks. Then don't drop your kid off. It's voluntary. You can go to regular childcare if you want to. Or ask them to have background checks. And they might. What does that do? It allows the community to support children if they want to. Up to you, you decide. Do you trust them? Drop your kids off and go to work. Now you don't lose everything. Now you have some good childcare. Right? Not a bad deal. I'll go one step further. How many people here are who know farmers who have to have a secondary job? Yeah, lots of them. Lots of farmers have to have a secondary job. Right? Why? We should be treating our farmers like small business owners in every way, because in reality they are. In reality they are. They're actually small business owners. Treat them like that in every way. One, why? So they can get investments versus having to put their farms up for sale on terrible loans and just make them wait 10 more years before they go under. Or they actually get investment. That's not a bad idea. Not just that. How about we don't punish them when they want to create a retail or wholesale outlet on their farm? And we do punish them horribly. Let them sell wholesale or retail. Let them have craft grows on their own farm if they want to. Let them grow. And here's the most important piece. If you agree to not sell outside of New York State, why are you affected by any federal regulatory bodies? Why? You're not selling outside New York State? Stay local. Sell local. When you want to grow and become the big heavy hitter, awesome. You know what's going to happen. You prepare your business for that. You know I'm going to have to deal with all the federal regulations. You make that step when you want to make that step. If you want to make that step, maybe you want to stay a local farmer. I don't care. It's your life. Do what you feel is appropriate. If you want to rule the world, go rule the world, man. All good. I don't mind. Do what makes you happy. All good. This is the kind of thing I want to talk about. But I'll go one step further. Imagine if instead of your tax dollars always mainly going right to Albany, what if instead you had a credit? You can take $500 of your tax dollars and not give it to the government, but instead if you had $250, give to any nonprofit in the state. That's money you're going to give up anyway. You can either send to Albany or to any nonprofit in New York State. If it's local within your county, it's double, $500. You might say, well, nice, $500. What about 1,000 people who give $500? 10,000 people in certain counties, probably not Yates. But in certain counties, it could be 10,000 people. In Queens, where I live with 2 million people in my county, it could be 100,000 people. 500,000 people, could be in theory, could be lots. Why would you want to do that? To support the local communities doing things you want done. Creating breaking down the monopoly of government to have the local community do something that wants to do. And here's the best part. They have to ask you every year for that money. It's petition you. You give me the money. You give me your $500. What if they're bad at what they do? You don't give them the money, they go under. Oh my God, punishment for bad service. Isn't that great? What happens when the government does a bad job? They get more money. Yeah. Yes. Clearly you're not funded enough. Otherwise you would be better. So you get more money. The reverse happens with government. I'm giving us an option that gives us a choice. And again, government still exists. So if I'm wrong and the people are bad, you just go back to government. It's fine. But what if you didn't have to? These are the ideas I'm talking about. Yes, we'd have less government. Imagine if you have more money staying in your county and not so much going out to other cities. Right? New York is an amazing, diverse state. And so what do? One size fits all for everything. Why does that make any sense? I have a better idea. How about local counties become local counties, have more power and control in their own counties, and make more decisions in their own counties, right? Yeah. Absolutely. You're going, we gotta divide New York or whatever, downstate's bad, upstate's bad, Albany sucks. Albany does suck, but that's the point. That's the point. The point is, if they didn't have control, if one city didn't have control of the rest of the state, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't care. You'd be like, whatever. What they do in Albany, good luck. Do that Albany stuff. Good on you. I'm not moving there. Fine, whatever. Right? And people would do what they want to do in their own counties. Everyone's happy. That's the point.
Per county?
Say again?
Self-governance per county?
I would like a whole lot more of it. That's for sure. I mean, to be forward with you guys. Obviously, I'd like a whole lot more. But we have a culture of control from Albany.
Mm-hmm.
We have a culture of control from Albany. We're going to have to break that. And I'll give you the best example I possibly can give you. Last year in New York, sometime this year, but last year in New York, most New Yorkers woke up every morning, turned on the TV or their computer or their laptop or their phone to see if the government would allow them to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And we did not fight that at all. As a state. Some people did, I know. Some people in this room did. Thank you. Yes, I know. Some of you in this room did, I know. But as a state, we didn't fight it at all. We just sat back and took it. We allowed the state to say who was essential and who was not essential. And we sat back and took it. So, yes, we are all essential. You're correct. Exactly right. Yes, every job that pays somebody's bills is essential. Period. If any of you have a job that pays nobody's bills, that's not essential. I don't know if anybody has that kind of job. But if you have a job that you just throw money away that no one's bills get paid, then that's not essential. If that happens to exist. But every job that pays somebody's bills is essential. Right? That's the way it works. Someone's bills get paid. I'm a big fan of paying bills, by the way. We should all pay our bills. Big fan. Big fan. Let's do that. So it's essential. But we sat back and took it. So your point's a valid one. I'm just saying, look at where we are. So let's at least turn the ship around and point in the right direction so that people can actually start doing the right things. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'm happy to take if anyone has a comment or a question, but it has one. I'm happy to take any if anyone has any.
So when you're governor, how are you going to turn all of this around with all this room stuff?
Yes, it is very difficult for that to happen. You're correct. Yeah. The reality of it is, if I win this thing, my message will have been clear, and that would mean that people understand where I'm going, and they've said yes. Does that make sense? Victory itself would show that the state is beginning to turn. Otherwise, there's no way I could win, right? So the victory itself would show the state starting to turn. That's the important piece. That's the second piece. I'm not going to have many libertarians in the assembly or in the Senate, right? I'm not going to have that many, but we'll have some. Yeah, I will. But Larry, you're not running. Doesn't matter. Here's what I promise you will happen. If I win, you will have people jump ship. There's a bunch of people who'd love to be libertarians, but they don't think we can win. So they stay in their party.
So we'll have more libertarians then. Yes,
they will jump ship. They will absolutely jump ship. And they'll want to, because think about it. In our Senate right now, which is close in a way to the actual Senate in the country. Imagine if there were 5 libertarians in our Senate. Just 5.
Just 5 would make a difference.
Yes, we would actually be the swing vote.
Yeah.
So you can be some Joe Schmo Democrat Republican senator, state senator, who has no power whatsoever, or you can join me and have some power. I'm in, Governor Sharp, I'm in. So I will have some, but I won't have most.
You'll have more people run for libertarian.
And but that'll be in 2021 and 2023, 2024. So there'll be some time before that happens. But what I do in the middle. I said this before and I'll say it again. Right now, I believe the governor has 2 helicopters or helicopter and a plane. I forgot which one it is. So I'm gonna sell one. I am. I'm sell one. And from that, I'm gonna buy a bus.
Okay.
And we're gonna run the government on the bus. Yes, and Jeff's gonna drive it. Yes. So we're gonna have a bus so that we can travel around the state and run the government out of other counties. Why? I will need the people on my side. And if I don't have them on my side, they will not be able to pressure the assembly and do anything. But if I'm physically there talking to people doing this right now like I'm doing, they will pressure their people to go, do what the governor says, stop being a knucklehead. And that's how we'll move things forward.
Perfect.
Right? People ask me all the time, Myra, are you anti-vax? Are you anti-mask? I am none of those things. I am pro-consent. Pro-consent. That's it. Pro-consent. Yeah. Yes, I don't want to wear a mask. I'm doing that. In fact, I keep a mask in my pocket all the time. Seriously. Do you know why?
I see you wear them.
Yes, because some people want me to wear a mask. And if you want me to wear a mask, I'll put one on. Because you want me to talk to you and you would rather me talk with a mask on, I'll put one on. I literally, I'm making it up. I keep it in my pocket all the time, right? It's much more common in New York City. A lot of people in New York City get scared. They want me to put a mask on. I'll do it. I'll go to a store. If they want me to put a mask on. Whatever they ask. I'm about consent. Right? I personally don't like it.
For everything.
For everything.
For everything.
For everything. So if that makes you happy, have the mask on. No worries. We'll have a conversation with them. No, it's fine. No worries. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. I don't know what's happening in your world. I don't know what health issues you may or may not have. I don't know what situation you've had in the past, how scared you might have been. What if you lost somebody to COVID? You might be scared. All right, I'll put the mask on. If it makes you feel good, I'll do it. No problem. I'll do it. I'm happy to do it. I'm about consent.
Consent.
That's all I care about. I'm about consent. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you.